Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, May 24th, 2019. I am Dave Biddle, very happy joined by Jonah Booker for his usual Friday visit. We're going to have some fun on today's show. We're going to do a couple of top 5 lists. We're going to do the top 5 offensive linemen of the Urban Meyer era. We're also going to do the top 5 defensive linemen of the Urban Meyer era. So if you're a fan of the big guys up front, you're going to love today's show. And there's so many good ones to pick from. Jonah, I will kick it to you. Should we go O-line or D-line first? What do you think we should do, my friend?
Let's get the O-lineman started first.
Okay, all right. And we'll go 5-1. We'll each do 5, and then we'll give each other's 5, 4, 3. We'll go from there. You go first. You give me your number 5, and then I'll go with my number 5.
All right, starting off my number 5, I'm going with Corey Lindsley. And the reason why I have him in my top 5 is he was a guy that was pretty much looking to quit football. Urban Meyer talked him back into it. And what he was able to do once, he decided to come back was he started the center tradition at Ohio State that's been pretty much paved the way for the Billy Prices and the Pat Elfleins and Jacoby Bourne. So I think paying homage to Corey Lindsley there when Urban Meyer first took over is my number 5 selection.
One of my favorites. I'm taking the easy way out for number 5. I have a tie, so feel free if you need to be that guy that has a tie at some point. I'm getting it out of the way here. I have a tie between Corey Lindsley and Andrew Norwell. A couple of guys. You said everything about Corey Lindsley, and I'm so thrilled Corey Lindsley's making bank in the NFL. So is Andrew Norwell, a guy that still one of the biggest mysteries of life is how he wasn't invited to the combine, along with some of his former teammates like Corey Lindsley and another guy that will be on my list. So I have a 2-way tie for number 5 with Andrew Norwell and Corey Lindsley. So just for the listeners out there that are wondering, this, the Urban Meyer era obviously includes 2012, 2013. So players from obviously those seasons will be eligible for our D-line and our O-line list here. All right. Mr. Booker, who's number 4 on your list for the best O-lineman of the Urban Meyer era?
Yeah, number 4, I got Jack Muhort, All-American, 2-time first team All-Big Ten. He was kind of one of the leaders of that group early on. He set the tone with the big uglies and sauce in the ribs when Ed Warner was in his prime here. So I'm going to go with Jack Muhort, first-round NFL selection, and I think you could make a case for him to be higher, but I have a couple guys higher than him, so my number 4 is Muhort.
I have the same pick. I have Jack Muhort, and it's we have not seen each other's lists. Obviously, we're just going off the cuff here, and I have Jack Muhort as well. What's interesting, he had a great career at Ohio State. He looked really good early in his NFL career. He was a second-round pick. I think you said first round, but I think he actually was second round, early second round.
Second, my mistake.
No, that's all right. I mean, first round, second round, you're making a lot of money. He'd be one of those guys, and I know he got banged up. I would have bet heavy that he would have lasted like 10 years in the NFL, but you just never know. And, he got banged up, and he's already out of the NFL, but still made some good coin. And I agree with you. I have Jack Muhort, number 4 on my list. All right, I imagine – I wonder if our top 3 are the same. I think they might be. If our top 3 are all from the 2014 National Championship team, then I think we might have the same top 3. All right, Jay Book, who's number 3 on your list?
Yeah, number 3, I have Billy Price, Remington Award winner, unanimous All-American, 2-time All-Big Ten Lineman of the Year. If he was in the military, his coat would be decorated with awards all over his chest. The guy was a do-it-all, played the center, played the guard position. Yeah, he was a leader in the locker room, a guy that could be relied upon. He played injured, and he was just your typical tremendous Ohio State Buckeye that had a excellent career here.
I have Pat Elflein number 3, and it was tough between 2 and 3. Pat Elflein, I have number 3. Obviously, he was a starting guard on the national championship team. Eventually moved to center, won the Remington Award just like Billy Price did. Elflein was, I believe, a 3rd-round pick by the Vikings. I have Pat Elflein. I mean, it's really splitting hairs, but I have Pat Elflein number 3 on my list. Who is number 2 on your list, Jonah?
I have Andrew Norwell. I just love the way that he played at Ohio State. I know he didn't get a lot of the hype. He was 2 years in a row, big off first team All Big Ten, and he was just an absolute mauler there. His game transitioned beautifully to the NFL. He signed one of the largest offensive lineman contracts in free agency with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And as you mentioned, a guy that wasn't even invited to the NFL Combine. You ask any of those offensive linemen, and the name Slobs pretty much originated from Andrew Norwell. He was just long hair, didn't care, in your face, and was ready to rumble. And he kind of set that attitude for that offensive line room. He was ready to fight you anytime, any place. If you want to have a guy that's going to get off the bus first to intimidate someone, Andrew Norwell will be one of those guys.
Number 2 on my list is Billy Price. I have, he's 1st-round pick by the Bengals, Remington Award winner, as you mentioned. I have Billy Price number 2 on my list. I'm really curious. Who do you have number 1 on your list?
I have Taylor Decker as my number 1 selection, and the reason I say that is when Urban Meyer first took over, they were in desperate need of offensive linemen. When they first came in, he was originally committed to Notre Dame. Jim Bowman pretty much ignored him during his recruitment, and it took them flipping him. And throughout his career, he was a kid that started as a true freshman. The only time that he really struggled was against Buffalo when he was faced up against Khalil Mack, who took him to the woodshed. But throughout his entire career, just playing that left tackle, how important it was to the offense that having him as that stability end up being a 1st-round pick at number 16 with the Detroit Lions. And I think just the longevity, him starting as a true freshman and just being so reliable throughout his career.
I have Taylor Decker too. Wait a minute. I thought. Wait. So who am I forgetting here? You didn't have somebody that I had in your top 5. Who'd you leave out? Billy Price?
No, I left out Elflein.
You left out Elflein. That's right. Elflein, not Price. You mentioned Price. That's right. Okay, so you left out Elflein. Ooh, that's a tough one to leave out. But I went the easy way and had a tie. At least you were a man about it and actually had a top 5 and didn't go with a tie. All right. That's right. So you leave Elflein out. That's right. Top 5 defensive linemen of the Urban Meyer era. All right. Reverse order. I'll go first this time. I have, and people are going to skew me for this since he's still playing, and how can you put him over certain guys? Number 5, I have Chase Young. Chase Young, I have he had a tremendous year last year, and I think he's going to have a tremendous year, even better this year. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. I have and my gosh, the amount of defensive linemen from the Urban Meyer era alone, it's just tremendous. But I have Chase Young number 5. Who do you have number 5, J Book?
5, I have Sam Hull. I know he was a guy that the coaching staff loved. He moved around early on in his career. Once they were able to settle him, he was able to get his black belt in Larry Johnson's craft of ninja judo techniques. So with him, he had 30 TFLs, 17 sacks, and he was just a guy that was in a rotation, but he was also an impact player. And I look for him to do big things this year for your Cincinnati Bengals.
I hope so. That was a great pick by them. I'll just spoiler alert. I have Hubbard just out. If I should, because I didn't want to do a tie twice. I had Hubbard. He's barely out. I almost had a Hubbard Chase Young tie for number 5, but I have Chase Young just a little bit ahead of Hubbard. So Hubbard's on my list. Number 4, I have John Simon. Not the NFL player that Hubbard is, even already, but I just looking at his Ohio State career. Even though it was only 1 year with Urban Meyer, I have John Simon number 4. Who do you have number 4, J Book?
Number 4, I have Michael Bennett, a guy who over his career was able to rack up 18 sacks. He was kind of he started off early on the outside, but really settled on the inside. He was a leader in that locker room, 31.5 tackles for losses. So Michael Bennett was my number 4 selection.
I like it. I like it. I love Mike Bennett, another guy that I hated to leave off. He, along with Sam Hubbard, barely missed my list. All right, number 3. I have Big Hank, Jonathan Hankins. I almost had to go with somebody else, but I went with Big Hank, number 3, Jonathan Hankins, a really underrated guy. I love Big Hank at number 3. He was a guy that played in the Tressel era. He played the 1 year with Luke Fickell, and also played the 1 year with Urban Meyer and helped that 12-0 season. So I have Big Hank number 3.
For my number 3, I have Tyquan Lewis, a tremendous leader in that locker room there. He was a guy that really showed those younger guys how to prepare and get themselves ready to go. So that's something that I put a lot of value into. Career-wise, 23.5 sacks, 37 TFLs. And I think he, just his leadership and the way he was able to teach those younger guys really helped set the tone for Larry Johnson in that defensive line room.
Should have done like a top 15 for the D linemen, because I hate leaving guys like Tyquan, Sam Hubbard, and some of these guys that I've let, Mike Bennett. I left Adolphus Washington off. There's so many guys that are like really, really like not just good players, but great players that I have left off this top 5. All right. Number 2, I have Nick Bosa as the second best defensive lineman of the Urban Meyer era. Almost like, it's a little bittersweet. We didn't get to see as much as we wanted to, but my gosh, his sophomore season, he was tremendous. I mean, he tore up that Cotton Bowl. They probably don't win the TCU game, frankly, J-Book, in 2018, if not for Nick Bosa just dominating that game until he got hurt. Ironically, the same game that he got hurt that ended his collegiate career. So I have Nick Bosa number 2 on my list. Who's number 2 on your list?
Number 2, I have John Stein there. As you can see with the way I've been picked, I'm just a huge leadership type of guy, and John Simon was Mr. Cap. He was the Captain America for his Ohio State football program throughout his entire tenure here, and that squad was really devastated when he missed that Michigan game due to the knee injury, but just 2 TFLs, 20.5 sacks throughout his career, and he was a guy that just brought his lunch pail to work week in and week out while he was at Ohio State. So I have John Simon at 2.
I have Joey Bosa number 1. I'm guessing you do too, so that means you left Nick Bosa out. Who do you have number 1?
I have Joey Bosa as well as my number 1.
And you left Nick Bosa out.
I left Nick Bosa out. I mean, he had that 1 year, like as you mentioned, that was great. But a lot of times, he was in the rotation subbing in package-wise, and then he missed, last year due to injuries. He just didn't have a full body of work for me to make my top 5. Obviously, he's the most highly drafted defensive lineman that Ohio State has had. And so talent-wise, yes, but when it comes to full body of work, I have him slightly outside. I had him at number 6 there, and then I had Chase Young number 7. But since we're doing top 5, I had to leave him on my list.
Yeah, it's tough with the D lineman. Like I said, we should have done a top 15. Maybe we will at some point this summer. Maybe this summer we'll do a top 15. It already feels like summer here in Ohio. I'm sure it always feels like summer after about March, where you're at in Arizona. Great stuff as always from Jonah Booker. Thank you very much, Jay Book, and thanks to all the listeners out there for tuning in to the show. I appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear the Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.